All right, diving in. Today, the dark web.
Ooh, spooky.
Right? It's got this reputation, like anything goes. Digital Wild West, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So we've got all these YouTube videos, right? Explainer stuff, some true scary stories,
Oh, fun.
and even like glimpses into these dark web marketplaces.
Oh, wow.
Trying to figure out what's real, what's hype, separate fact from fiction.
Yeah, definitely. It really captures people's imaginations,
Totally.
like almost a mythical quality.
Right. But I gotta start somewhere. So how do you even get to this hidden internet? It's
Uh,
not like just any website, right?
No, you're right. You can't just like type it in. It's intentionally hidden.
Okay.
You need special software, like the Tor browser. Stands for the onion router.
The onion router. Layers, I'm guessing.
Exactly. Bounces your internet traffic all around the world
Huh.
through all these relays. Each one encrypts the data, makes it really hard to trace, like wrapping it in layers, like an onion.
Okay, so that's the appeal for like the shady stuff, right?
Right, the anonymization.
Okay, but how anonymous is it really? Our sources mention like skilled investigators can still find people even using Tor.
Yeah, true. It's not like 100% foolproof.
Right.
There are ways to de-anonymize users, like for those who know what they're doing.
Oh, okay.
Network traffic analysis, for example.
Uh.
You can sometimes pick up patterns,
Oh, okay.
maybe correlate those with real-world stuff. And then there's always the risk of, messing up,
Oh, right.
rusing emails, IP addresses,
Uh-huh.
or just accidentally, giving away info on some forum.
Makes sense.
Compromises your anonymity.
So not a total guarantee. Gotta be careful out there.
Right.
One thing that really got to me in those scary stories was the sheer variety of what's happening on the dark web.
Yeah.
We're talking drug marketplaces, hitmen-for-hire, the whole nine yards. Kinda unsettling.
It is. Yeah.
It makes you think about, like, the psychological effect it can have on people. Both, the people involved and just those hearing about it.
Definitely. I mean, it taps into some of our deepest fears and anxieties.
For sure.
It's like this space where those things can be expressed more freely because of the anonymity.
And then you've got the infamous dark web marketplaces.
Right.
They seem to be like the central hub for all this illegal activity. Everybody knows Silk Road, but then our sources mention others too.
Mm-hmm. Silk Road 2.0, Alphabet.
Right, like a never-ending cycle.
It is.
So how do those marketplaces actually work? Are they like regular e-commerce sites, just, shady?
Pretty much.
Oh, wow.
But the focus is on, well, illicit stuff.
Right, right. And cryptocurrency, Bitcoin especially, seems to be a big part of it all.
Oh, yeah. Huge. It's kind of like their currency of choice.
I get the decentralized part, but why is it so popular on the dark web?
Well, because it makes transactions really hard to track.
Oh, right.
Unlike banks, there's no central authority controlling it.
Okay.
So it's much harder for law enforcement to trace the money.
Makes sense.
The transactions are recorded on this public ledger, the blockchain,
Mm-hmm.
but figuring out who's behind those transactions, that's a whole other challenge.
So basically, anonymity equals appeal. Gotcha. But back to the marketplaces. The range of stuff being sold is wild. Hacking services, stolen data, you name it.
Yeah, it's kind of like a one-stop shop for cybercrime. You can find hackers for hire, doing things like data breaches, website defacement, even, more malicious stuff like spreading malware or planting evidence on someone's computer.
Ugh, that's scary. And then there's the whole thing about red rooms.
Right?
These supposed live streams of like torture and violence. Are those even real?
That's a good question. A lot of debate about it. No solid proof they exist, and a lot of people think it's just like an urban legend, fueled by the whole mystique of the dark web.
Right.
But even the idea of them, it speaks to something, right? The power of the unknown, our fascinations with the dark side of things, even if it isn't actually real.
Yeah, there's a part of us that's drawn to that, even if we're afraid of it. But our sources also said the dark web isn't all bad. There's a flip side to the coin, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, what kind of good stuff are we talking about?
Well, one of the most compelling things is how it can empower people in oppressive regimes.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. Tell me more about that.
Well, imagine you're in a place where free speech is restricted. You can't access information freely.
Right.
The dark web can be a lifeline. Access to uncensored news, secure communication, organizing resistance movements without fear of reprisal.
So it's like a digital safe haven for those who are being silenced.
Exactly. And it's not just limited to political activism.
Oh.
Whistleblowers, journalists, activists all over,
Mm-hmm.
they use it to share sensitive info anonymously. protects them and their sources.
That's pretty powerful, like a digital shield for those fighting for truth and justice.
Yeah,
It seems like the dark web is a lot more nuanced than the media often portrays it.
definitely. It's full of contradictions, reflects the best and worst of humanity,
Right.
and understanding those complexities is really key to any meaningful discussion about it.
Okay, so we've talked about accessing the dark web, the range of activities that happen there.
Mm-hmm.
But before we move on, I think we should dive into Silk Road and its founder, Ross Ulbricht, aka the Dread Pirate Roberts.
Yeah, good idea.
His story seems really important to the whole evolution of the dark web.
Absolutely. They're like pivotal figures in dark web history.
Right.
His journey from idealistic entrepreneur to, well, convicted criminal, it's fascinating and tragic.
Yeah. And even though Silk Road got shut down, it seems like its legacy is still shaping the dark web today.
Oh, for sure.
So let's break it down. Who was this guy? What motivated him? And how did Silk Road become this phenomenon? I think understanding that will give us a better picture of what's really going on in this hidden world.
Yeah, definitely. So Roth Ulbricht, he was this young guy, real idealistic entrepreneur, believed in free markets, even for stuff that was, illegal pretty much everywhere.
So like a hardcore libertarian.
Yeah, basically. He saw Silk Road as this way to create a truly free market, no government interference, buy and sell whatever you want.
Wow.
To protect himself and the users, he took on this pseudonym, Dread Pirate Roberts.
Oh, from The Princess Bride?
Yep, that's the one. Known for being elusive, cutting.
Yeah, I get it. Like the whole cloak and dagger vibe.
Exactly. But how do you build this massive online marketplace and keep his identity a secret?
Right, that's the big question.
Well, he built Silk Road on the Tor network,
Makes sense.
which we talked about earlier, gave him the anonymity he needed to operate under the radar. Plus, he put in place all these sophisticated security measures, encouraged using cryptocurrency.
Eat coin, right.
Yep, Bitcoin for all transactions, made it super hard for law enforcement to track the money, the goods, the whole thing.
Sounds like he was a pretty smart guy.
He was. Brilliant programmer, savvy entrepreneur, but it didn't end well for him, did it?
No, I remember something about him getting caught. Prison time, right?
Yeah.
So what happened? How'd they catch him?
He made some mistakes, big ones, considering how focused he was on staying anonymous.
Like what?
He used his real email address on a public forum, promoting Silk Road back when it was just starting out.
Oh, wow.
And he hired undercover agents.
No way.
Yeah, to work on the site. He had no idea.
So they had access to everything.
Pretty much.
It's ironic, right? He was trying to avoid the government, and they're the ones who brought him down.
Yeah, definitely a bit ironic. And his arrest, the trial, all that, it raised some big questions about online anonymity. How far can it go, really, and how much power should law enforcement have in this digital world?
Heavy stuff. But what about Silk Road itself? I mean, it got shut down, but it feels like its impact is still being felt, right?
Oh, absolutely.
In what way?
Well, Silk Road proved something, It showed that a big, anonymous online marketplace could exist, could be successful, even if it was dealing in illegal stuff.
Right.
It paved the way for a whole new generation of, well, dark web entrepreneurs, inspired tons of copycat marketplaces, and a lot of those are still running today.
So it's like they shut one down and 10 more pop up, like whack-a-mole.
Exactly.
But what about law enforcement? What are they doing to fight all this cybercrime?
Well, agencies all over the world are constantly trying to come up with new strategies,
Mm-hmm.
trying to combat this stuff. They're putting a lot of resources into cybercrime units,
Okay.
collaborating across borders, using a bunch of different tools to try and disrupt these marketplaces, infiltrate them.
But how do they even find these hidden marketplaces in the first place? It's not like they can just, Google them.
Right, it's not that simple. They use a whole range of techniques.
Like what?
Well, things like network traffic analysis, monitoring internet traffic patterns.
Okay.
Sometimes they can identify Tor traffic
Uh-huh.
and trace it back to specific people or locations.
Ooh, sneaky.
Then there are undercover operations. Agents go undercover, pretend to be buyers or sellers.
Like in the movies?
Yeah,
Crazy.
gather evidence, identify the key players.
Wow, so it's a digital spy thriller.
It kind of is. They also use informants, collaborators within the dark web community,
Oh, wow.
even work with hackers, security researchers who can give them valuable insights.
Man, that's a whole other world. But with all this effort, are they actually making any progress?
It's tough, a constant battle. They've had some big wins, like taking down Silk Road and Alphabet,
Right.
but the dark web is resilient, really resilient.
Because it's so decentralized.
Exactly. Super hard to completely wipe it out. One marketplace gets shut down, another one pops up.
It's like a hydra, right?
Yeah, you cut off one head, two more grow back.
Kind of a discouraging thought. Well, we talked earlier about the good side of the dark web, too.
Right,
Legitimate uses.
definitely.
So what are some of those?
Well, one of the strongest arguments for it is its potential to protect people's privacy and security, especially those who are vulnerable. might be targets of surveillance or censorship.
Oh, okay.
Journalists working in repressive regimes,
Mm-hmm.
they can use the dark web to communicate with their sources securely, publish information without fear of getting in trouble.
Right, right.
Activists can use it to organize protests, share info without the government watching them.
That's powerful.
And even just individuals who value their privacy,
Uh-huh.
they can use it to browse and communicate without leaving a trace.
So it's like a shield for those fighting for freedom or just trying to keep their lives private.
Exactly.
It really does seem like the dark web is way more than just a place for criminals.
It is. It's complex, nuanced. You can't just put it in a box.
Right.
And that's what makes it so fascinating, I think.
It's like a mirror to humanity, right? All the good and the bad.
Exactly.
So we've talked about the illegal side, the potential for good, but what about the people involved?
Right.
The users, the ones running things behind the scenes. What kind of people are drawn to this world?
Well, you get all sorts. Some are driven by ideology, like Ross Ulbricht,
Right.
believed in a truly free market, even if it meant breaking the law. Others, it's greed, plain and simple.
Makes sense.
They see the anonymity, the lack of regulation, and they want to cash in.
Yeah, I can see that. What about the users, though? What are they looking for on the dark web?
They're just as diverse as the people running things.
Okay.
Some are just curious,
Mm-hmm.
drawn to the mystery, the thrill of exploring something new and hidden.
The forbidden fruit?
Exactly. Others are looking for specific stuff they can't find on the regular internet, or it's too hard to get.
Right.
And then some, they're just looking for a community, people who share their interests, their beliefs, whatever it might be.
I can see that, but it makes you wonder, with all this dark, disturbing stuff out there, what's the psychological impact of spending time on the dark web?
That's a good point.
Our sources talked about people feeling paranoid, anxious, even having nightmares after seeing some of the content.
Yeah, it can be a tough environment mentally, even for those who think they're prepared.
Right.
The anonymity, it can make you feel detached from reality.
Like you're not really yourself.
Right.
And then constantly being exposed to disturbing things, it's got to take a toll.
It does. It's like walking into a digital jungle. You never know what danger you might find around the corner.
Okay, but law enforcement, they're working on this, right?
Yeah.
Trying to stop the crime. How effective are they, though? Are they actually making a dent in shutting these illegal operations down?
It's like a constant back and forth,
Mm-hmm.
cat and mouse game.
Right.
Between them and the criminals operating in the shadows, they've had some big wins, like we talked about Silk Road, Alphabet.
Sure.
But new marketplaces, criminal enterprises, they just keep popping up,
So it's a never-ending battle.
pretty much. That decentralized nature of the dark web, it makes it really hard to kill. You shut down one site, multiple new ones take its place.
Oh, it's that Hydra again.
Yep, cut off one head, two more grow back.
Ugh, not very encouraging. But we did talk about how the dark web can be used for good, too.
Right,
So it's not all doom and gloom.
not at all.
What are some of those positive aspects again?
Well, like I said, one of the biggest arguments for it is how it can protect people, their privacy, their security,
Right.
especially those who might be targeted,
Yeah.
like by surveillance or censorship.
Right, journalists, activists, people like that.
Exact.
So it's like a tool for empowerment.
It can be.
It can be a force for good.
Absolutely.
Okay, so it's not something to be afraid of or avoid completely.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I think the key is to be smart about it, approach it with caution, be a little skeptical,
Right,
know the risks, learn about how it works, how complex it is,
right.
and take steps to protect yourself, your privacy, your security.
It's like exploring any new place, right? You got to be prepared, know the dangers.
Exactly.
But you also got to be open to what you might find.
Right.
The adventure of it all. But before we wrap this up, let's go back to Silk Road and Ross Ulbricht.
Yeah.
The Dread Pirate Roberts. His story, it feels like it captures so much of what we've been talking about.
Definitely.
The anonymity, the risks, the whole battle between freedom and control in the digital age.
Absolutely. It's a fascinating story and a sad one. He was this brilliant guy who thought he was creating a utopia,
Right.
a place where people could buy and sell anything, no government interference.
A true free market.
Yeah, but it turned into a nightmare.
Yeah.
He got caught, got life in prison.
It's a cautionary tale, for sure. But it also makes you think,
Mm-hmm.
about crime and punishment in the digital age. He was convicted of drug trafficking, money laundering, all that.
Right.
But a lot of people say he was just giving people a platform.
Yeah.
Was he a criminal mastermind or just a facilitator?
It's a tough question.
Right.
Legal experts, ethicists, they're still arguing about it.
Makes sense.
It really shows how hard it is to apply old laws to this new digital world.
Right. Things change so fast.
Yeah, and the lines get blurry. What's a crime in the real world? It might not be so clear online.
Right.
And as technology keeps advancing, these questions are just going to get more complicated.
For sure. But I think Ulbricht's story also reminds us that even on the dark web, where everyone's anonymous, you're still responsible for your actions. He might have had a fake name, but he still had to face the consequences.
Yeah, that's important.
Anonymity doesn't mean you can do whatever you want.
Exactly.
There are still rules, still morals, even in the dark corners of the internet.
Right.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are the main things you want our listeners to take away from this?
The biggest takeaway, I think, is that the dark web isn't just one thing. It's not all good. It's not all bad. It's got a lot of different sides to it.
It's like a microcosm of the real world.
Exactly. You can find pretty much anything there. Mundane stuff, crazy stuff, good things, bad things.
It's a reflection of humanity, you said.
Right.
All its complexities.
And like any powerful tool, it's up to us to decide how we use it.
We can be afraid of it, ignore it,
Yeah,
or we can learn about it, use it responsibly, try to make it a force for good.
exactly.
It really makes you think about human nature, technology, society, the whole thing. But we've been talking about the dark web as if it's this separate thing,
Right.
this hidden world. But it's still part of the internet, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Crucial point. It's not like some isolated island.
Right.
It's connected to the regular internet in tons of ways.
So it's all intertwined.
Totally. Information goes back and forth, trends emerge, what happens on one side affects the other.
So what about the future? Where do we go from here? Is the dark web just like an inevitable part of the internet? Or can we find some balance? Anonymity and accountability.
Man, that's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah,
People have been debating this since like the very beginning of the internet.
right.
And the dark web, it just makes everything more complicated. There's no easy answer.
So what can we do about it? What needs to happen?
Well, on the tech side, we got to keep developing new tools, new strategies to fight cybercrime, keep people safe.
Okay, like what?
Things like making the Tor network more secure, finding better ways to track cryptocurrency transactions, working together across countries, share info, resources, all that.
Makes sense, but technology isn't the whole story, right?
No way. We got to address the root causes, the things that push people towards the dark web in the first place.
Oh, okay. Like what?
Poverty, inequality, lack of education, opportunity.
Right, those systemic issues.
Exactly. And we need to have some serious conversations about anonymity online. How important is it, really? Are there limits?
Big questions.
Yeah, no easy answers. It's going to take a lot of discussion, debate.
But it's a conversation we need to have.
Totally.
If we want a digital future that's both safe and free.
I agree. And it's a conversation everyone needs to be a part of, not just the experts, you know?
Yeah.
Policymakers, tech people, educators, parents, regular internet users, everyone. We all have a role to play.
It's a shared responsibility. We can't just sit back and wait for someone else to fix it.
Exactly. And I think the more we understand about the dark web, the better decisions we can make. Like they say, knowledge is power.
Right.
And when it comes to the dark web, knowledge can protect you, help you make smart choices.
So last question, what's the one thing you hope our listeners remember from all this?
The most important thing, I think, is that the dark web is a reflection of us, all of us.
Oh,
Our best parts, our worst parts. It shows how technology can be used for good and bad.
like that double-edged sword you mentioned before.
Exactly. And in the end, it's up to us to decide how we're going to use it. The future of the internet, the dark web, it's in our hands. Let's build a digital world that's safe, fair, and good for everyone.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, that wraps up our deep dive into the dark web. Hope you found it informative, interesting, maybe even a little creepy. The internet's a wild place, always changing. Stay curious, stay informed, and stay safe out there.
And remember, the dark web is just a click away.
That's all for this episode of The Deep Dive. We'll be back next week with another exploration of the digital world. Until then, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep asking questions.